About 72% of girls in rural areas do not have access to commercial sanitary ware and end up resorting to unhygienic means, while 62% of these girls do not go to school during their menstrual cycle. Good day, everyone. My name is Pranella Lunga, and I am going to be your host today for the Girls with Voices podcast. And in studio, I am joined by very beautiful ladies in the house. Ladies, introduce yourselves.
Hi guys, my name is Zolega.
Hey, my name is Princess.
Hi guys, I am Shama Ruth Nicole.
Okay, ladies, and today we are talking about period poverty. What is period poverty? Anyone, guys, what is period poverty?
Period poverty is the lack of access to sanitary products during one's menses.
Okay, Zolega, what do you think?
Yeah, period poverty is it's an issue that's happening in our communities. Many girls, especially girls in rural areas, don't have access to sanitary wear, which is really alarming because no one asks for their period.
True.
So they should be provided with these sanitary wear.
Also, I think period poverty is not only about lack of sanitary wear. I think it's also lack of education about sanitary wear and hygiene when it comes to menstruation. Now, guys, what do you think is the perfect age for one to maybe have their onset of their menstrual cycle?
I don't think there is a thing as a perfect age for a menstrual cycle, With bodies and biologies of people, it's different. So somebody can have their first period at 12 or munye at like 17. And if we look at the trend that is happening nowadays, people or children are getting their periods early. And if you trace it back, you'll find Guti, it goes back to a lifestyle that we have, the food that we eat now. So there is no such thing as a perfect age. People are different and should be treated as such.
True. And a lot of the times people associate periods with young women or older girls. But like for me, I started my period in grade 7. And many of my
And
friends,
how old were you by that time?
What was I in grade 7? Let me calculate. 12. I was 12, 11, but my cousin started hers in grade 5. And it would be like a big deal, but it's just biology.
Okay, now I just want to find out. Uguti, like, how did you feel on your first period, knowing that now you have your first period and you are just in grade 7? What is your mom going to think about it?
I was so devastated, but I don't even know why. But it was just like, I still remember I went to the bathroom, I was just bathing and I saw blood and I was like, what is going on? I was so confused. And I went to my mom and my mom was like, oh my goodness, you're now a woman. And I was like, what?
Okay.
But I think the first one was the one that was like really, really uncomfortable. And I think I changed my pad like 5 times. And it wasn't even full because I was just so scared of like staining. But after that, I was just like, okay, I get it. And then once a month, do it. Then it's over.
Move on.
I, for one, am one person who has a very embarrassing story to share about my first period, but that's a story for another day. And moving on, guys, what do you think and who do you think is affected when it comes to period poverty?
Many girls, especially in rural areas, like we were saying, where they don't have access to the sanitary way and they don't have access to information. But even in our communities where we are privileged enough to get sanitary wear every month, maybe because of our parents or of the background we come from, we're still not educated. And there's a lot of information about periods that we don't know. You get girls who, understand, okay, once a month I'll get my period, but they don't know what you're supposed to dispose of it like this. It shouldn't stay too long. It should be less than 8 hours, I think.
And you should remove it.
With tampons, there's toxic shock syndrome. Lots of girls don't know about that. So I think all of us are affected.
Also, I think, what's your take on people living with disability, especially young girls maybe, and they're having their periods, and they are disabled? How do you think? Are they not affected as well?
Well, I think they are affected, and it's a bit more difficult if you aren't educated. Like if you just happen to find, okay, now I'm bleeding, and there's no one to help you pad it or anything like.
Yeah, and also when it comes to maybe like periods, most of the time they come with cramps and stuff like that, and maybe you don't have money to buy medication and stuff like that. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on our first break. Join us after this break. Welcome back, guys, to the Girls with Voices podcast. And as we were talking before the break, we were talking about period poverty. And now, guys, I want to find from each of you guys, do you think our government has done anything when it comes to sanitary wear and providing sanitary wear to schools and rural areas?
I think there's a lot more that the government can do. In terms of prioritizing our needs as young girls. I don't think there should be any girl out there who doesn't have access to information about periods and to sanitary wear. So maybe in the curriculum or in biology or sex education class, whatever it is, we need to have more information on periods and how they affect young girls, like cramps and period pains. A lot of the times we're told, like, no, just suck it up. It isn't that sore. You'll be fine. You're a woman. You should be able to take the pain. But there are some girls where their cramps are literally so painful that they faint or even lose consciousness or whatever. So I think there's a lot that the government can do that they aren't doing at the moment.
Okay. Princess?
On those points, I think on the education part of it, when biology, you will learn about PMS, premenstrual tension, what. Fine. But when you learn about it, it's more of the biology as if this is not happening in people. It's more of, when you feel this, the period is coming, done. But at the end of the day, you don't necessarily understand what is going on and you haven't really been taught how to deal with it. And again, you don't necessarily have to teach the girls only. You also need to teach the guys, because after time at school, you will be ashamed as a girl of what is happening to you in your body because of what other people will say about you or to you. Yeah. So when we talk of information and access to information to everyone, we need to include every stakeholder, not just the girls, the females, but even the males as well, because, it's a two-strand problem.
Part of us, yes. And Shama, what do you think?
I definitely agree with Princess. I feel like boys need to be educated as well. They need to understand what menses are. They need to understand that if she's feeling cramps, if she has pain, don't laugh at her. Don't giggle about it. It's not funny. It's a serious issue that people are going through, and they need to understand that.
Okay, that's very true, guys. It's very true. What are some of the myths that are found within our communities? Myths about period poverty, myths about menstruation that go around within our communities that people talk about, because I believe there's a lot that comes with menstruation. People tell you no, you can't be menstruating at the age of 8 or 10 because which means you're already with a man, you're already sleeping with a man. So what do you think, guys, are the myths that are out there?
I think the biggest one is that you're dirty. Like, I feel like that's the one that we hear the most. That when you're on your period, you're unclean or unholy for religious people, which is just honestly rubbish, because it's just an egg that wasn't fertilized that's coming out. Like, let it come out and leave me in peace. There's no there's no deeper meaning to it, like, ooh, she's unholy, run away from her. It's just a period, That's what I think. I think that's the biggest stigma around periods.
Yeah, especially taking into consideration that there are some churches, especially here in Zimbabwe, who would tell you don't come to church this week because you're on your period, you're unpure, you're unclean. And what do you think, guys?
There's also this thing that when you're in your period, you're not supposed to cook for men. You're not supposed to be walking around. Stay in your room, close the door, bath twice a day, 5 times a day, because you're in your period today. You're supposed to bath 6 times. There are a lot of things that they say to you when you're on your period. And also, if you're in primary school, like, for example, if you're in grade 5 and then you enter your periods, some adults go like, okay, it means that she's playing around with boys. Boys are touching her. That's why she's now in her periods. We need to beat her up. She needs training. this child has been sleeping around with men, that's why she's in her periods. But that doesn't even connect. Okay, she's sleeping around, it doesn't connect. So I feel like those are some of the things that the society says about periods.
And what do you think should be done as individuals and as a society to keep these misconceptions and myths about period and period poverty? Anyone?
We need to normalize it. Periods are a biological process that is normal.
Yeah.
Nothing amazing about it. You know, when you have periods, or when you're on your periods rather, you're shunned. It's as if lepero, you know, like, stay away, go away.
Yeah.
No, but at the end of the day, we need to normalize it to a point where a woman feels confident on her period or off her period. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't change who you are. This is going to happen for a couple of days. There's nothing to write home about. Normalize it. There's nothing amazing about it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Zalega?
I agree with Princess. Like, we need to have more conversations and discussions in our communities and normalizing periods, because it's a normal process. Everyone goes through it, and I'm not going to stop my life. I'm not going to stop going to school because, oh no, I'm bleeding. Like, what? I need to go. I need to continue with my life. I need to read. I need to go to work. I need to interact with people. I'm not going to stop my life because of something that I didn't ask for. I was born a girl. I got the periods. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think it should start within our schools. Like, if our schools can maybe provide sanitary wear for kids at their schools, I think that would be great, because if you know that you don't have a pad at home and you can actually go to school and get one, that would be great, and that would maybe make life easier for you. And also I think educating the boy child, we can start there,
definitely.
because if you educate a boy child right from the ages of 3, 4, 5 years, because if I'm looking at my personal life, my little brother would ask me, Guti, Pronella, what is this used for? And for me, I'll be like, okay, this is, I don't even know how to answer him, because normally in our culture it's something that we cannot talk to about boys. Okay, thank you so much, ladies. Please join us after the break for more. Welcome back, guys, to the Girls with Voices podcast, and we are still in studio today discussing period poverty. Girls, I have a question for you, each of you guys. Where do you get your pads? Because personally, my dad buys my pads for me, and I don't even know how much that costs.
Same for me. My mom buys my pads. Yeah, every month. I know that, mommy, it's time.
Okay, guys.
My mother.
My father.
And so no one actually knows how much a pad costs, even a tampon.
About $1.50 or less.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking, girls, to the other girls who are out there in the rural areas, people who are there in the outskirts, there, down there, Makai. Do you think they really can afford these dollar pads?
No.
Because really, imagine if you're in a situation, you have a period pain, and then you are supposed to buy medication for that. At the same time, you were supposed to get a pad, like maybe 2 packs of pads. I think that's really something that we should look into, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. There's less privileged girls don't have even that dollar, like you're saying, or even if it was 100 bond, they don't have that, and their families are worried about feeding the whole family.
Yeah.
Now you're coming there saying, mommy, I need money for pads. Most of them don't have, and that's when we get these cases where they resort to other means for their periods, which aren't safe, which aren't healthy.
Yeah, and there are cases whereby people resort to the other means that she was talking about, whereby they take measures to maybe counter for their periods. I've heard cases whereby someone would take cow dung and use it during their period, guys. Imagine. What else is there that people use, especially girls out there?
Some people actually go on to use things like newspapers. They take pages off of textbooks and exercise books, they fold them. Some take like dirty clothes, like those clothes that you never wear. They tear them up and they use them, they wash them, they use them again.
That's
and
sad.
leaves, funny things like that. And it's not really healthy for their system.
That's sad. Guys, if you were looking at this thing closely, using a newspaper, using cow dung for your period, it is a very, very bad hygiene. And if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking like these things pose as health hazard.
True.
They do.
Because our reproductive systems are very, very sensitive. And even we see with pads, the way they are packaged, it's not open. It comes in a pack, in another pack.
Yeah.
But for these girls, they're taking papers that have probably been exposed to, I don't even know, dirt. And they're using it for their vaginas, which is not good.
Yes.
And that's when you get things like cancer. When those bits and pieces of paper go inside you, you see, you can't take them out. That's when they start causing infections. Now for people to go to the hospital, Emakaya, there's probably one clinic in a 20-kilometer radius.
Yeah.
How are you going to walk there? Do they have money to be treated? So with period poverty, it causes so many more problems.
Yeah.
Chances are they're not even going to go to a hospital.
Yes.
Umuntu is going to go enyangeni sebebona umthakathi ngento encane that could have been curbed ngabe umuntu had a proper, sanitary way. And I think in that situation, that's when you see the double standards of society. Because we say, society rather says periods are bad, you shan't, what. But at the same time, once you get your periods, you're now umfaz. You're ready for marriage.
They expect you to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we shun you, then we exploit you. Again, a lot of problems that come into play when we deal with period poverty. That's why it's important that we stop it and we educate people on the proper practices.
And let's look at the age. Like we were saying, most of us started in grade 7.
Yeah.
You are a child when you're in grade 7. You can't say that I'm ready to go and start my own family. There was a girl that we saw recently, a 10-year-old girl who gave birth. That is not right. And even with trying to curb like the period and trying to get material for your periods, now we see these things where these girls are going into blessership or they're being exploited and they're being told, okay, give me the sexual favor, then I'll buy you pads. I'll give you money for, I'm a painkiller, paracetamol, because they have really, really bad cramps or pains.
Yeah, and to think that some girls, especially in rural areas, instead of maybe getting blessers or something like that, they end up not going to school. Totally. Muntahlale the whole 7 days or it's 5 days not going to school.
Every month.
Yeah, every month losing. So I think it is a very, very sad thing. So, and there's a lot that needs to be done so that we can maybe curb this thing. And what do you think should be done to curb period poverty in Zimbabwe, in Bulawayo? And on this question, I'm taking it personally. What do I think should be done? What do you think, guys, should be done so that we can curb period poverty? Because our girls are suffering out here.
I think many of the times we expect bigger organizations or like NGOs.
Yes.
We're dependent on NGOs or international aid. But I think as an individual, if you know that you come from a place of privilege, if you know that you can afford 2-3 packs per month, take 2 or 3 pads and say, okay, let me go and donate to give to an organization. You don't even have to donate. You probably know someone in your grandmother's suburb or Emakaya, who's a young girl who's going through periods. You can say, okay, during festive season, when I go and visit my grandmother, I will take pads and give to those girls that are there. So I think in our individual capacity, there is a lot that we can do. Even with information, we are lucky to know that, okay, these things where people say, oh, young girls who get their periods are having sex, we know that they're not true. So let's go to our aunties, to our grandmothers and tell them, no, it's just the biology of the child. She just happened to have her period come at an earlier age. She's not bewitched or unholy and the devil, what. No.
What do you think, Shama?
I think that in order for us to also help people who cannot afford pads, we can try to educate boys as well about these issues. Tell them that, okay, if a lady is having cramps or if she's not coming to school, perhaps it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We can try to help by donating. Even as a class, we can have our own pads that we buy as a class. If someone needs them, it's at. We don't have to make it a big deal with, okay, now just getting an NGO to come with bags full of pads. We can try 1 pad a month, 2 pads for anyone who we think needs them.
Yeah, and also I think we cannot only do it individually. There are also, I know Sibo, guys, we all know Sibo. Sibo is part of the Girls with Voices podcast. She has her own pet drive whereby she goes out there and gives pets. So I think we can also have our own initiatives whereby we start up our own organizations and reach out to girls out there. I think Solega has something to tell us. Solega, you said something?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to talk about how, it's not right for us to be expecting NGOs or to be expecting these outside parties to be donating pads. Our government should be protecting us, should be giving us sanitary wear. You hear the government talk about, we want to prioritize the girl child. Like Princess was talking about the double standard, that you want to prioritize the girl child. Yes, we want girls to be empowered and all that, but you're not giving us sanitary wear. How are we going to be educated and empowered when I'm at home missing my period, missing school because of my period? So I think we need to call upon the government to say, look, you need to do your job. And we need to have young girls like us who are in political spaces, even in parliament. I know now we have a junior president who's a girl, which is good, which means she'll push the agenda of ending period poverty. So I think in the political space, in government, parliament, we need our
women,
leaders,
especially women leaders,
to be advocating for us, to be saying, look, let's end period poverty. Because as individuals, no matter how much we try, there's only so much that we can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, girls, thank you so much for joining us. It was a very enlightening podcast session we had today. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at Amplifying Girls Voices. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next time, same place, same time.
Bye. Guys.